Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1155, and today's date is December 18th, 2016, and the title of the episode is The Current Economic Collapse News Brief. Let's get right into the economic collapse news. Now, we've been talking about how this economy is breaking apart, deteriorating, and what's very interesting about all of this is we talk about the real estate market and how the people, well, they're not purchasing the homes, the mortgage applications are continually declining, and Pew Research Center, well, they released a new report diving into the housing recovery. And you're going to be shocked what their research reveals, because it's exactly what we've been saying, that all of these purchases of these homes are not being made by the next generation. The bubble is being created by investment companies, hedge funds. And what we're seeing right now, per Pew Research Center, home ownership among young adults and blacks are down 18 and 16% since the peak of 2004. And the question is, well, who is purchasing all of these homes? Well, we've mentioned it many times. But now Pew Research Center is letting everyone know this is exactly what is happening. We knew this for a very long time. We've known it through our own research. And here we have Blackstone's home buying binge. Well, it has ended because mortgage rates are increasing. Now, they spent more than $100 million a week on properties. That's right, $100 million a week on properties. They invested $8 billion since April 2012, and this is just one investment firm. They purchased 43,000 homes in 14 cities. Think about what they're doing here, and there's many other hedge funds, investment companies that have purchased the same type of homes using the same type of free money. And what did they do? They did this in the cities that Schiller looks at. I mean, we're looking at Miami, we're looking at Seattle, we're looking at Atlanta, we're looking at New York. And what we're seeing right now, this is how they created this housing recovery. And right now, this real estate market is one gigantic bubble. Now remember, these companies, they kept the houses off the market. They don't care if they rented them or not, but they were told not to sell them. Hold on to them. And that's exactly what they did. Banks, they were told not to foreclose on the people. Let the people stay in the house. Don't let them on the market, because if you do, well, the prices can't rise. They'll drop. And this is what they did. They kept inventory off the market to push the prices up. And it's funny because Obama's housing recovery, well, it didn't help the young adults, the blacks. It didn't help those individuals that he promised for hope and change. Who did it help? Wall Street, the wealthy. It inflated their homes. Now, we might be seeing the petrodollar completely disintegrate right in front of our eyes. Saudi Arabia, they're going to rethink their financial strategy towards the U.S. due to several factors. Of course, Donald Trump being the President of the United States as of right now. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. And Saudi Arabia is looking into this saying, well, the law was passed where the United States is allowed to sue them. They're looking at their investments in the U.S., and they might be changing their strategy completely and moving closer towards Russia. And this is a threat once again to the petrodollar. And we can see what's happening right now is that everything is starting to rapidly fall apart, and these Middle Eastern countries are starting to realize, well, we're coming towards the end here. We have to remember, out in the Middle East, the United States government central bankers, they are losing control of the Middle East. The people are taking back their country. And when the people take back their country, they will no longer sell their oil using the petrodollar. Syria, as of right now, is lost. The U.S. government, the central bankers, they've lost Aleppo. And we can see right now their entire plan to build a pipeline through Syria, then go into Iran, control the entire Middle East, keep the petrodollar propped up. It is coming to an end. But we can see the elite, they're not giving up. They're going to continually fight in Syria. They're going to continually try to remove Trump from his presidency. And they're going to try to retake control of the system they created. They don't want their control from what they've done removed. And we can see right now, December 19th, we have the Electoral College vote coming up. They've been trying and pushing as hard as they possibly can to persuade electors to vote away from Trump, maybe towards Hillary Clinton, or to question what has been going on. Harvard professor Larry Lessig, he's been offering free legal advice to any Republican elector willing to consider switching their vote from Trump to another candidate. And at the time, Lessig said he was in active discussions with 20 electors, and they claimed to vow to switch their votes. Now he's admitting that, well, maybe his efforts aren't going that well right now. He doesn't think there will be enough electors to actually make a difference. And at this point, we know that Soros, Clinton, the elite, they're doing whatever they possibly can. Now, if they can't get December 19th, they're going to make a play for January 6th when Congress meets. And he said, in the House, there are a lot of things that could happen. And in that House, the Republicans might consider, well, is there another candidate? Is there someone else that we can vote for? So they're going to try to persuade everyone to switch in what they're thinking. Now, of course, they're continually pushing the Russian hacking. They're continually pushing cyber attacks because they want everyone to question, are these election results legitimate, or should we invalidate them? And of course, Obama's out there, and the elite are out there, the corporate media is out there. They're talking about fake news, and we know for a fact now that Snopes, PolitiFact, they're all run by the government, the CIA, Soros. And we've already shown how their facts different from what's really going on in the world. And most of their facts really don't relate to what has been going on, because later on it's proven that their facts were a lie. And of course, Obama's right now, he is blaming domestic propagandists, basically alternative media, linking them to Russian propagandists and saying that they're all in cahoots together to spread propaganda. Well, what's really happening is the truth is coming out. They don't like the truth because it butts up against their lies. And then people start to think, well, wait a minute. Who's telling the truth here? Let me do a little research. And this is what everyone should be doing right now. Is everything the government telling us absolute truth? They have to prove it to the American people. When they put something out there and they're telling us this is the way it is, like Iraq has weapons of mass destruction, they need to prove it without any type of doubt. And proof is not showing a vial of powder, which is probably just baby powder or something colorized. They need to show this is really the fact. Now, they just can't say it because that's just propaganda. But this is what they've been doing. If we go back to 2011, they told us they didn't arm the moderate rebels. No, this is just a natural grassroots uprising. And it turned out, no. They funded them. They supported them. No, we don't support terrorists. And then we find out, yes, they're supporting Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, Al-Sham, Islamic State. The Affordable Care Act is going to be affordable. You'll be able to keep your doctor. Do you remember Obama saying this? How many people lost their doctor? Premiums are not going to go up. It's going to be very cheap. Guess what? It's more expensive than it was prior to the Affordable Care Act. So what's happening now is they don't like the truth coming out because it brings to light all of their lies. And they don't like it because people are going to start calling them on it. Out in the Philippines, we see Duterte. He is saying, bye-bye, U.S. We are going towards China right now. We can survive without American money. And right now, what they're doing is they're creating legislation to move away from the United States and closer to China. And he went on to say that the politics in the Southeast Asia, well, it is completely changing, and the U.S. is going to be left out of it. We know on Friday, China captured a drone. This was off the coast of the Philippines near Subic Bay, and the United States was making a really big deal about this. The Chinese were saying, well, we don't know exactly what this was. We have no idea. We picked it up. We took a look at it. The U.S. made a really big deal. We know this is for provocation purposes. And China says, we're going to return it because there was an unidentified piece of equipment 50 nautical miles off of Subic Bay. We didn't know what it was, so we picked it up. And China has accused the U.S. of hyping this whole situation up. And the equipment's being returned. Now, what was it really? We really don't know. We see the U.S. is sending 1,600 tanks to the Netherlands, and they'll be storing them in a complex in the southeastern village of Eigelshoven, which was originally opened in 1985 to allow U.S. troops to practice drills in the event of a possible Soviet invasion. And once again, the United States and NATO, they are placing equipment all over Eastern Europe because they're preparing for war. This is what they've been doing for the last couple of years. And it really has accelerated up to this point. We see 600 terrorists in Damascus. Well, they are returning and handing over their weapons because Assad promised them amnesty if they agreed to surrender, give their weapons in, and they can be brought back into society, into Syria, and this process is ongoing right now. We see the moderate rebels, the group Al-Sham, they're not giving up. Well, the buses that are being brought into Aleppo to evacuate the people, it looks like the Al-Sham terrorist group, which is an offshoot of Nusra Front, the United States tried to rename them so they wouldn't be considered terrorists under the UN resolution. They are attacking buses. They are burning them. They're making sure that people can't be evacuated because they use these people as shields. Now, Patrick Henningsen and Vanessa Beeley, well, they broke a report that 14 U.S. coalition military officers, they were captured in East Aleppo during the Syrian Special Forces raid on a bunker. And the story was quietly leaked to Voltaire.net, and it looks like the Security Council, well, they're having a private meeting to keep this under wraps, why they have a discussion on how this is going to be presented. And they have a list of names, what countries they're from. We see one is from USA, one is from Israel. These are NATO officers, and they're from many different states, including the US, France, Germany, Turkey, as well as Israel. And this is a really big deal because they were in the area where the terrorists were, supporting the terrorists. And we can see right now that the situation in Syria, the terrorists are losing ground. The U.S. really has no reason to be in Syria anymore. We see there's a threat to the petrodollar. Saudi Arabia is already signaling that this could be the end right now because we're done here. We see the writing on the wall. We see what's happening in the Middle East. We're losing Syria. And we see the elite. They're going to continually push forward until they get their way. They will not give up. They will continue on. If one plan doesn't work, they move to the next phase. And we'll see that coming up shortly. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.